So if you're seeing this, you're probably watching it on playback because you're in the classroom or being an administrator to some people here. So I understand you're not making it and seeing the playback. But I always go back and revisit what I had taught the week before. So remember, we have been through what we do when we look at their gifts, strengths, and interests. We've been through what I call the anger shame checklist, see how their emotions are in the classroom, which is the social emotional part. And then last week we went over to see what learning difference they had through this screening. So let me press on it to remind y'all what we saw. So we saw was, here's my form, this right here. And it went over their auditory processing, their visual processing, their vestibular, which is fine and gross. And we went over also specific language impairment. So we didn't go over was autism, ADHD, Erland syndrome, and sensory processing disorder and or integration. So what I'm going to do is we're not going to visit that today because I have a special guest on who's here that needs to see class 1. So, but my thought is, this is my thought. If you've done the assessment for them, meaning you've done the gifts and strengths and interests, the anger shame checklist, and now this learning difference, you'd have to be coached by me to get the results anyway, to figure out what recommendations and accommodations to give to the child. So you'd have to be coached on me anyway, so I might as well finish that part of the screening that wasn't completed last week. And my other thought was, you might be needing the professional development from me. It's the research behind my Albert. It's the understanding dyslexia, professional development, classroom screen and classroom management, looking at remembering calm and listening skills, and literacy development. So the thing is I'll just have to be coaching you on the outside anyway to be able to understand what came from the learning difference screening. So I hope that makes sense. So today we're going to start on class 1. Okay, so let me just tell you, I have a scope and sequence here of my Albert. Let's take a look at it. Before this opens or while it opens. So I'm a big proponent on not following a curriculum. You know, the curriculum's going to say, direct you a lot of what you need to do for with a group of children and or small groups. What I'm saying is more follow the child type of thing by doing those assessments and doing reflective journaling on each individual child. But that doesn't mean I'm not a proponent of looking at a scope and sequence and following through on that, because I am. That meets them exactly where their needs are. So if a child, let's say it had said auditory processing, you can add some hands-on activities if it's majority auditory processing from the screening. If it's majority visual, don't overstimulate them. So I would be marking that, which is good because if you're online like myself, tutoring, you're not going to be doing too much hands-on activity. And really the best tutoring that's done online are those that have visual processing problems and or ADHD inattentive. So I can coach you through explaining all of that too. Now, so the first part of scope and sequence is short vowels, and that's going to be in class 1. Consonants, class 1 that we're doing today, long vowels, class 1. Now we do not go to the blends or sneaky E or schwa in class 1. So anyway, I believe in following the scope and sequence for certain. And that's all laid out there. And then I have another form that helps to keep track of each child's scope and sequence right here. I'm not going to get to see the whole thing because it's because it's not going to let us. That's fine. But anyway, let's go to class 1. There's a video on how to do class 1. It's just going to kind of replicate what we're doing today. And then we have class 1 with the Quizlet. Let's open it up. Okay. So what I found, and I started to explain to Catherine a little bit, is that kids are not processing the sounds. They're just hearing and replicating the sounds, especially if there's auditory processing problem there. So my emphasis here is, again, on processing and not just hearing sounds. So when I'd done the learning difference screening, as I said, I get probably about 95% of the students going, ah. Well, guess what? They never process the sound. Okay. Especially in the middle position where you find most vowels. Okay. So let's do it like this. We're going to do somewhat what looks like lips, Linda Mood Bell, but it's my own version. And with some of the SLP background I've gotten. So here we go. So let's go. Ah. Okay, so I'm point here showing him it's an open mouth sound, right? Did you see me hold it? Ah. So when what's the name of that curriculum? It's a major Rebecca, when they went they had figured out what happened is that if you if it's for a long time, it's processed better. But do we speak apple? So I'm highly against no repeating. So I have to actually correct that in kids too. No repeating sounds. We don't say apple. Okay. So then they see the picture. So at first they're going to depend heavily on the picture. Then you want to scaffold it and just get rid of the picture. But at first, if they don't have it, let's hold it in the word apple. That's very, very important for word recall. Okay, so a lot of our kids have specific language impairments, including word recall. So they're just, these words are conceptually floating in our minds because that's how we think conceptually. We got to get these words out to communicate with other people, what is in our mind, right? So we have to hold the first sound. Everybody's told us, think of the first sound of the word. It'll come to you. That's right. But you have to be processing it, not just thinking of the first one. So I tell them, do you have words floating in your brain? They say yes, almost all of them. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna help you process a word better. Let's go. Apple. And they do that. Now it's my turn. This is us doing it first with them. My turn. Tell me if you hear in this word. Astronaut. And they're like, yes. So if we're scaffolding this, we could still show them the word, it won't matter, but then we take the word away and you can ask them, or they can't see it. But here they can see it with you on the screen. But I've had kids say, no, I didn't hear it. And I'm Montessori and I always trust what the child says and go with what the child says. So now let's go. Let's say it together. The next time around, I'll say, you just say it by yourself. Now, did y'all notice that everything was done in 3? 3 is key to all learning. They said it with you when you were modeling it, then they said it in the word with you, and then now they're saying it again with you, and if we're scaffolding it by themselves. So that's 3. Notice everything you do is in 3. You think I'm neurodivergent, guys? Listen to that. Everything has to be in a pattern. Okay, but that helps their brain for everything to be in a pattern. Ooh. Here we go. Let's do O. Say it in the word. Octopus. Do you hear it in my word? Opposite. And I get a thumbs up or something now. Then it's their turn. Okay. U's a very important one I want to talk about. Now, don't think I'm going to go all over 26 letters and sounds with them on the first day. We just would get through, depending on how they do, just sometimes just the vowels. Okay, now we get things to everything to 90% mastery. I think they set it too high at 93%. Did y'all hear what I said? You can move on after 90% mastery, not as high as everybody else says, 93, 94%. Get it to 90, because guess what you're going to end up doing? You never leave a class. When they've had a long break, you can expect for them to regress. Guess where you're going back for a little while? To that class. So it's okay that they had stopped and moved on to the next class at 90% mastery. Okay. So you ready for it? Put our head to the side. Why is my head to the side? Journey knows. Because as kids, they can hardly process you. It's telling so much like, oh, hey. So here we go. I have to put their heads like they aren't sure of something. Then they get it. Sorry, Journey. I'm gonna have to mute you. It's a little loud.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, it's like a TV or something. Now, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, this one's a hard one for them. I put our head to the side like we're not sure of something. That tells a story. Anytime you can tell a story with these, feel free. Feel free. I'm not going to probably do it today during my thing. Thing is about stories is kids connect with adults through feelings and future, and them helping them create visual images in their minds of something. So, and we're all storytellers, all as neurodivergent people. So yes, so feel free to tell the story at any time on anything. Now let's hold it and say umbrella. Do you hear it, my word? I think y'all get me on that. Okay. Now we have major E and I confusion in the southern part of the United States. It's okay. I got a fix for it. Okay. So I tell them, I know there's a lot of confusion in E and I. Because remember, parents, when I'm tutoring, are on, they're listening. They're listening to everything. And they're getting to hear, and they're getting to reinforce. And I videotape for them one of our classes, they can watch it back. But I say this, I say we get E and I confusion in the South. So I want you to think of E as an exciting letter. So I want you to put your finger right here. And I want you to look excited. Okay, E is actually a high pitched sound. So I want you to go, eh, good, like in pen. Okay, and elephant. We're holding it, elephant. Okay. Now, do you hear it in my word? Excellent. And they're supposed to say yes or no. Now they make it, and trust me, you'll want to give the visual to minders, and then you scaffold that. You get rid of the visual reminders if they need help. Keep the visual reminders as long as you need. Now, listen to this. So, okay, I just had a student, and it was our major thing was E and I confusion, but she started naming words and everything. So that's great. She was getting the phonological awareness with it. Y'all notice my class 1 is not photological awareness. That's only if the parent requests it. I always do whatever they request. My kids come to me, they're 7, okay? 7 or above for online tutoring. And doesn't mean I won't take in a 4, 5, 6-year-old, but you better believe I'll be doing phonological awareness and then begin in this class. And since they're 7, I begin here in the major foundation, which I wanted to tell you too, not just 7 starts on class number 1. What did I say? 95% of my kids have schwa on the end. They're not processing the sound. I don't care how old you are. You could be like one of my 72-year-olds. I'm going to start you on the class 1. So this is the foundation of all of it. These processing for here, the individual phonemes. Very important class. Very important. Get E and I not mixed up anymore. So I is a boring letter. You ready? Put our finger here. Look very bored. Great. You sounded very bored. Remember, E is the exciting one. Doesn't even look like he's smiling. High pitched, happy. Low pitched, good. Now, pen. Should be a difference, guys. No, even in the South, you can say pen. I do, because I have to work on these sounds with kids to make them distinct for their mind. Our mind is extremely smart. It's extremely particular. So everything's got to be very distinct, very automatic. And then they practice. Okay. So again, I won't go on to the smiling letters. If it depends on how they did, I can get a feel of how they did. I can look back at the assessment to see how they did. But sometimes I do go on to the smiling letters. I tell them right away. A lot of kids, my kids have speech problems either with dyspraxia or just something to do with speech and language, right? A lot of my kids. So a lot of them have S. I'm very particular with S. And to keep the tongue from going out. This is the trick, guys. I want you to see your teeth together. And then if the tongue still slips up, I'd say keep it at the back of your mouth. You know, it's the SLP in me, but I want to see them together. And these are smiling letters. So smile with your teeth together. And we're going to make the S sound. We're just going to blow out air. That's to keep the tongue in, and it works every time. Snake. Now, if they need help blowing out air, I tell them, put your hand on your stomach and pretend or imagine the air coming up from there. They have to have a strong core to be able to do a lot of this stuff, but sensational. Do S by yourself. Z sounds just like S, but it sounds more like a bumblebee, where it's the S sound like a snake. Zzz. Heard it. Y'all know all this by now. And want to do this one. Nest. Don't think I'm not listening that if they're repeating and they say something like nest. Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay. Monkey. And you don't know that all that. Oh, let me say something about M before we leave. M was the only straight smile. Make sure their teeth are, their lips are inside their mouth, because you're getting ready to get to the explosive letter B soon, and you want to be able to go B. So you say you starts like M. You'll hear me say starts like, as I start to build and scaffold and go on background knowledge of how other sounds are made similarly. So I hope y'all got me on that. I'm sure you do. Okay. Okay. So now they're ready to start with some nonsense words. I think if I spent the time, I would think 100 reasons why at this stage they need to be on nonsense words. I might tell you one or two real quick. Doesn't mean I didn't add some real words in. Okay, actually, I can go on why. Our kids are not processing the sounds, so they're not processing the words, so they're guessers. They guess on everything. They've maybe been taught whole language. There's so many reasons. So the thing is about nonsense words is they have to trust what they hear. They're not trying to make sense of it, so they're not kind of trying to guess at some word that they may know what it means. Do you understand that? It's nonsense. It has no meaning, so you teach them that. We're not looking to make sense of the word. I'm just trying to get you to trust what you hear. Just say the sounds that you hear, even though you don't know the meaning of them yet, and these don't have meaning. Okay, so let me show you. I tell them I go first. This one actually is a nonsense word. It's a word because it's got a vowel, but it doesn't make sense. Okay. So I'm going to actually go first, show you what I need you to do since you've done so well in your sounds. You ready? San. Okay. Did you hear me still hold that first one? Did you hear me hold all of them? Did you hear me trust what I heard and said back to you confidently? Okay. So depending on the child, I can just let them do the next three, see how it goes. But let's pretend like this child has is having more trouble, but we've gotten to this stage. I'm going to show them again. I'm going to model again. S, ah, z, saws. Good, trusting what you heard, and you said it back quickly with confidence. I'm so proud. You're doing so well with bunny hopping. Okay, let's pretend like they just go. It's your turn now. Sam, that's fine. I'm glad you know this word and you did say it correct. That is right. But we're building up a skill here. Okay, it's something that is going to help you later on when we get to 4, 5, 6 letter words. So I need you still to bunny hop, even though you know it. Now, when they get some point in the blends, I'll let them say it if they know it and they don't have to bunny hop. It's still there and I still have to bunny hop no matter what. They're good with that, because if not, they get a lecture of, you need to trust me. I trust you, blah, blah, blah. Sam. Now let them go as much as you can. Now I want from easy to hard on these. When we get to course to E and I, they get harder. So this depends where they are, okay? Now we're on the hard letters. So I tell them that most people teach the soft C. C is more often used as the hard sound. That's before A, O, and U. So it's more common to hear the soft sound. So at this point, we're working on the hard sounds. So I want you to put your hand on your throat and go. You hear how hard that is? Your brain is very happy right now. Because if I would have gone, it barely would have processed it. This is about sound processing, right? It's hard to say. It's hard. Say it hard in cat. Cat. Ooh, you said it hard in cat. That sounded good. Now, today, I'm working with a girl who's reading fluently, but needing help on spelling. Take her back to class 1 to help her with spelling. Because how many times have to say to yourself, probably about 83% of the time, what's that sound I hear when I'm spelling a word? So we have to go back to class 1, even though the child's reading fluently, right? I do this the same way, but I'll add in some spelling rules as I'm doing class 1. She has to do it the same way as everybody else. Okay. Oh, did you notice it's the same as C? Okay, say it, kangaroo. Oh, you said it hard. You hear it in my word if I need. Let me bring this point up to you. If they're doing so well, I don't have to say, do you hear it in my word? I scaffold that. I've scaffolded everything. I take that out. They don't need to hear it and me saying it. I take that out if they need. If they still need it there, I keep it. G, good. Good. Say it, goat. They're saying it by themselves now. They're saying it by themselves now. When you get to this point, because it's all repetition, you can even say here, say it by yourself now, but if not, just model still. Now, with this one, I want you to make it hard, but I want your bottom teeth to hit your top teeth at a fast rate. Watch. T. Nice. Toy. Nice. Okay. Making it. D, same thing as T. D. Did your bottom teeth hit the top? This is keeping the tongue in, guys, for speech. Bottom teeth hitting the top. Dog. Okay, so speaking of anytime you can add in a story about yourself, remember, us divergent people, we care a lot for people, animals, nature, feelings, and future. Okay, I talk about this dog with him. What kind of dog do you think this is? So it's a good stopping point to connect. This right here, it is a good stopping point to connect. But I don't have to tell y'all that. Y'all know about connection with children. If not, guess what? I got plenty of professional developments on how to increase connection, right? Okay, so I'm never worried about that with you guys. I know you guys very, very well. But anyway, here we go. D. Now, it's so funny because I still they mess G and J up a lot. So my dyslexia, I kind of do too sometimes. So just remember, G is a hard sound, and because G has 2 sounds. So in J, J. Okay. So make sure they have no J and G confusion. And at this point, we're not going over C being hard and soft. That will come later, but really be distinct and very particular about J and G being who they are. Okay. Oosh. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. What is happening here? Okay, there we go. All right. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I forgot to tell y'all. Let's go when I get to bunny hopping, I will. Okay, grab your throat and go, yeah. Yellow. Did y'all notice I didn't use an object here? And then I connect with them and tell them, because I have dyslexia, I had the hardest time learning why. It's the hardest sound to make. I can name the other ones, but why is the hardest? And so yellow helped me sing in color. So some kids think in color. So and some people kids really connect with color and need a lot of color. I don't know if I'm sure y'all know that. And some kids get overwhelmed by color and the processing of too much color. So anyway, that's for the other screening. But anyway, but for me, I can only do it by getting yellow. So yeah. Okay, this is what I wanted to tell you. That was so important. What came up for me? Can't think of it right now. It's really important too. G, ag, gag. Only one thing here is that since harder ladder faster, in between with one that has to be held. If you notice, all the vowels need to be held. This is where you make sure they're still holding A, the middle sound, for better processing. Because this is very important. I told you all this when the screening one. Everybody processes a word the same way. We process the first part first, the middle part last, and the third part second. Everybody processes a word that way. So why is it with dyslexia you're going to drop the middle sound? Because it's the last one to be processed and you have a processing problem, whether it be auditory or visual. That's what I wanted to tell you all about. I knew it'd come to me. See how to trust, it will come. They see that's the short-term memory problems, which is the hippocampus. But anyway, so it did come to me. I'm not going to forget. So anyway, so we're going to not process this. We're going to substitute with other letters. We're going to add a letter. We're going to repeat a letter, or we're going to delete it out altogether. So this is again where the bunny hopping is so important. Cud. Okay, I do want you to notice that I am highlighting these. This is the great part of being on the computer. You could have it on a screen in front of the kids. They can all have it on their iPads together, working remotely with yours. But for me, you know, doing the one-on-one online is I'm getting rid of the black and white. It's like a color overlay, right? And I do it every time, and I direct someone which nonsense word we're working on. But at the same time, it's good if you have visual processing problems to avoid black and white. And speaking of visual processing problems, I can go as big as I need, right? Perfect. The only thing is I don't like their font in A. And Linda, if you're listening, which I know you will later, we're still gonna figure that out. Why Quizlet? It's only the A that the font I don't like. Because font is also very important for visual processing problem. Just go ahead, feel like it, do dyslexic font, okay? For everybody, even if they're dyslexic or not, because it could be a visual processing problem. And just like everything has to be so distinct, so automatic. The letters have got to be distinct. Okay, good. So now we've gone through all the vowels. We've gone on through all the smiling letters. But now we've gone through all the hard letters. Now we're at the other letters. These are the hardest. But I got it figured out to make it easier for them. Okay, so F, we're gonna grab our throat, and you're gonna tell me if it's voiced or unvoiced. They've never heard this before, but I tell them, I know I use the terminology because they'll get it. So I say, here we go, let's practice F. Did your vocal cord shake? They say no. Then you made F correct. Did you hear I held it for better processing? They say yes, because we've been doing this all along. So anyway, So yes, it was a unvoiced sound. So make sure you don't make a voice for this. So what says, hold on, so it accidentally turned. So we're gonna hold it and say fish, okay? Now they get a turn to say what begins with F here. So it's a little bit of scaffolding to make it a little bit harder. Remember, I'm not huge into phonological awareness at this point. I do have a class that's very similar to phonological awareness that gets them to word image. It's very important to use their strength of word imaging. I can't add that class if the parents want it, but that's the only little bit of phonological awareness, something, because my kids are 7 and above. So then they make F by themselves and they can write it. You notice Catherine, this is the thing. She was a writer, so I let her write anytime she wants. But she's a minority. She's only in the 5% of kids that want to write. They have a craving to write. They have a craving to draw, and that's how they learn. The other ones, they don't need it. This is where we do too much sensory overload with kids. We think they're all multisensory. They all need multisensory. The only thing you need to make sure you have is auditory making and a visual here. And that does add a tactile when you do this, but it's nothing major. You don't need all these major things because so many of us have sensory overload. And that's what my screening looks for. Is it visual, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic? You don't want to sensory overload them. Okay, so it did give an option to write there for the first add-in writing. I don't even use it. I don't need to use it. They're doing the main things. They're processing the sounds and trusting what they hear. So at this point, you notice it's scaffolded, so there's more letters, more words. So they're ready for this. If not, just do a couple. So sometimes I still have to model at this point. Rarely do I, because remember we've mastered up to 90%. And I can explain why 90% in the coaching for you again if you don't get that. But fan. Good. Because if we get lazy and go not processed. Not processed. Fun. Let's skip. Did you notice we haven't been over SH? This is me checking to see where they are and where they can go next. I kind of know where they are and where they can go next. So let's pretend like I do let them get to this point in doing this. And so I do it first. Fish. And then I've started some digraphs here, but some of the times I'm not even at this point. Fist. Okay, so V. Oh, I forgot to put my hand. Does your vocal cord shake? Yep, it's a voice sound. F is unvoiced, V is voiced. And we hold it just like V. It's all that same stuff, Okay, L. Oh, I keep on forgetting. Yeah, jeez. Oh, did my vocal cord shake? Little bit. We're gonna have it where it's a little bit. If you want to get more of the vocal cord shaking and you notice they're saying it too low, which isn't good for better processing, again, put their hand on above their stomach. Pretend like you're pushing the air out. Oh, okay. So I know it's hardly any shake. Oh, there's some shake there. Hold it and say lion, and then what begins with L, and then we do some more nonsense words. R. Okay, very particular with R, but a lot of kids, remember, might have speech problems. But other than that, if it's not a speech problem, I need them to make R not like this. That's more like E-R-I-R and U-R. And so when you get to the point to the pirate sounds, which are the R control vowels, you're going to have trouble distinction from doing when to do one of those and when to do R. So I need you to put your finger here and look bored like you do with I. Perfect. They're gonna have problems with this for a while because they probably hadn't been taught it that way. Rabbit. We're still holding for better processing of the word, okay? And let me say something to Catherine. The better the I did rabbit for the longest time. I never scaffolded that, took that out, and I still don't take that out with her because I still want to make sure she's going in the right direction. Because if it is a visual processing problem, there's a, and let's see, and remember, I have it also as big as I need. I have it highlighted to avoid black and white, assuming this is the color that they need. They mostly need primary, red, yellow, blue. Mine is blue. So that's why I'm so glad it's in blue. But what are you eating the furniture? My dog is eating our furniture. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 toys. Oh my goodness, she's 5. She was eating my furniture. Anyway, guys, so she got me all messed up here. Do you hear? We're gonna hold together. Rabbit. We still do that for a long time and still do it. Okay. My dog, my dog, my dog. It's like having a child in the house. Okay. B. Hold on, you're making me laugh, Journey. B.
Sorry, I can relate.
I know. I mean, it is. And she's pacing around trying to get my attention is what she's doing. No.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, remember how I said we do reference past letters because, you know, they're at 90% and that's why they've moved on to this. No. So we do our mouth like M and B. You hear me explode out? And it was harder, louder, faster.
I'm here. I've been working since 7.
Baby. Good. Okay. And then it's all the same thing. H. See if
Could
it's
you by the door so I can get the good vacuum to do my room? It's not like
no. Need you to mute, Catherine. Okay, H. Just make sure, see if it's voiced or unvoiced.
Okay, thank you.
Is your vocal cord shake? Okay, good. That's right. It's H. Just blow out air. Listen to me say it in hoarse. Okay. Now H, all the same thing. P, grab your throat, and I want you to go. This is where this is the hardest one for them to cut off the schwa. This is a good lecturing point for them and you and everything. They still want to go puh. Okay. Well, guess why they taught it? Puh, duh, fuh, guh, huh. Like, why do you think they taught people teach it like that? So it's not so much work on the mouth, but that's not made distinct. It needs work. You need to work on where you're placing and positioning things. So we had to get that cut off because there's not two sounds in the letter P. It's not a P and a U. It's just okay. So cut that schwa off, and we got to tell them that. I heard you say puh. Well, you notice we haven't been doing that. Got to get that off. I know it's hard with P, but you're gonna want to do it to make it a voice, but it's not a voiced sound. So that's why we gotta make it harder, louder, faster. Okay. Pig. Good. Okay. W, I'm very particular with. Imagine that. And I tell them that I'm very particular with these sounds because I know what your mind is very particular. Your brain is very particular about the sounds and how it hears it. That's why I have to be. Plus, this is my favorite letter. So I connect with them saying how this is my favorite letter. What's your favorite letter? Blah, blah, blah. This is actually my favorite letter. Okay, and people make it unvoiced where it needs to be voiced. That is a problem. And I know it's dialectal, but it's a problem. Okay. So W, put your finger here and go, bring your mouth back like we did with E. See, I'm referencing another one. W. Thank you. W. See, I didn't repeat. I don't let them repeat. I repeated to show you. So that's what I say to them. I was like, because when I repeat to show them to fix, I go, oh, remember, we don't repeat sounds, but I needed to because I needed to show you. So that was just an FYI on that. We're going to keep them from repeating like what. We don't speak like that. Wagon, or what, wagon. I said it wrong. But here we go. Wagon. Okay. So, let them do it by the sub. We do that. Okay. So let's say they're at 80% mastery of this set, but remember they're at 90% mastery in all the other sets, the smiling letters, the hard letters, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. All of those, right? I may not go on to this one because the scaffolding part, they got to be able to process two letters, one letter making having two sounds, okay? So I might just keep this out for a little while, hold back. See how they do with the blends, then come back because the Q is a K and a W. Okay, so if they're ready for it, Qu. Hear the K and the W?
You're good. It's playing, but it's not.
Queen.
I'm
Okay.
muted.
Did you notice I made it harder, louder, faster for better processing?
It's fine. I just got here. I had a online training that I did from home.
We talk about the Q, you know.
That's fine. I ignored you. No, that's fine. And actually,
okay, so I talk about the queen. You know who this is? Yeah. Okay. And that. Okay. So let me mention this. So if they did very well on making the Q, I feel confident in their confidence. You know, it's all about building confidence. And this is foundationally. I do this class with 71-year-olds. Okay. It's all about confidence and gaining confidence and processing the sounds. So I might just model these for a long time and then finally get them to do it. We'll go back and get them to do it. But they have to know that I'm about to introduce them to Unbelievable You. And they'll hear me hear about Unbelievable You for a while. But here he's following Q and he doesn't even say anything. He's such a mess. And that's actually the Q, this one here that's saying Qua. And people think it's the U. Be silent. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 letters, but it's actually just 3 sounds like we've been doing this whole time. 1, 2, 3. Qua. Quip. Wow, you did great with that nonsense word. You ready? Let's try. And this is if I let them do it. I might just model for a long time. These are very difficult. Qua. Quig. Can I just say, if you let them do something they're not ready for, it could hurt their self-confidence. Qu. Quap. I think y'all get me how hard those are. Okay, this is so funny. X is just like Q. It's one letter making 2 sounds. This case it's a K and an S. So it's and we can't practice this one in words because there's no word in the English language where X makes the X at the beginning. And y'all notice everything is the individual phoneme. And when you practice the beginning foundationally, the beginning phoneme, you need to start with the beginning sound, not anywhere in the middle or at the end like bops. You're going to mess them all up because it's the first sound to be processed. The middle is the third to be processed, and the last letter letter sounds are the second to be processed. So trust me, don't do anything with X except. Okay, so what time is it? We got 13 minutes. Let's think. 13 minutes till this ends. I can show how you're keeping track of each child. In case a school asked you to see if my Albert's working with the kids, I'll be honest with you, it's all up here in my mind. I think it's because I care about the kids, so I'll be able to keep everybody. I know where everybody is. It's very important to have documentation if you're doing a case study for me now. If you're doing a case study, you're going to have to know this. Everybody else, if you're listening to this, it's just I'm offering y'all to give me a referral if I need, or reference if I need, but y'all know who you are, the case study people. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Okay, original number 3 screen. It is the follow-up. Follow-up for 3 is what I need. Follow-up for 3. Since we have 13 minutes, we might as well. Okay, let's follow up for 5. Where's follow up for 3? And I can't open it from what the coaching board looks like, because then it won't open up all the way. I'll just show you where you have to put in the information. Let me see what this is. Because whatever it is, you'll still have to see it too, because it's part of my coaching. Okay. I know why I called it 5. Well, I know why I called it 5 and I changed that. Okay, so here we go. See, y'all are helping me by doing this. Okay, so basically you do the child's information, any attachments, like any writing sample you want to put in there for documentation, any phonics inventory that you've done for progress monitoring. I can coach you on all that too, not worried about it. The student reflects as well as the teacher with my Albert, and that's what drives your instruction, not even the progress monitoring. It's the reflection daily of the journaling of each kid, especially did they have any anxiousness? Did they have any shutdown? Okay. And it's to remind you, if you checked for that, you're checking constantly for anxiousness. That's all at the top. Okay. So how are they doing on sound word knowledge? How many letters, how many sounds? Did you cover it yet? Yes, no, put it. That's how many letters, how many sounds? How many times did y'all see me go? How many letters, how many sounds? Did they master it? Yes or no? You modeled it? Did they master it? Sometimes I didn't tell y'all this. I asked them how many letters, how many sounds, see where they are, not just me modeling it. But anyway, so where are they on their fierce phonemes? That's this right here. See, fierce phonemes. It's labeled that. That's class 1. So are they at 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%? Between 75 and 100%, and there's our 90 that we're looking for. So 90 should be closer to here. Closer to here, we're still working on, not at mastery. Okay, so next week we'll go over blends, hopefully get into the baby sounds, then the pirate sounds, and then hysterical H, then the end blends. Very important to teach end blends. Extremely important. Let me show you why, because we have 9 minutes. Okay, let's look at the word blend. Okay, so people aren't teaching end blends. So they're just saying the word end. So then they've made something that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters and 3 sounds. They've made it into 2. That means this might be dropped still. Or if it's dropped, something could be added there. Something could be repeated. Something can additionally happen. Something can just be substituted there. Do not do word families. That's when we get to spelling. So don't do any, so that's why you have to teach end blends. Okay? So they can go bull and blend. So word families again come from when it's spelling, and that's when you're looking at spelling patterns. It has to be in 3, and then later it'll be 2, and then one day it's going to be 1, where all words are automatic. But they got to be processing that middle sound. Okay, so next week we're not going to be able to cover sneaky E, special vowels, ghost letters, Those are our silent letters. And what goes on into the second class. We're not going to be able to do that until 2 weeks, but you know, foundationally, the phonemes, this first class, having these phonemes right here, here's phoneme, so important to get at 90% mastery. I'm glad I spent the whole time on this. And you know, this tells a lot what the other classes, the other parts of this class are going to be with the blends and everything else, because there's a lot of repetition. Did you notice that? But repetition isn't good if their interest isn't there. Did you notice all the pictures are going to get what's into their long-term memory? It was us talking about animals a lot. It was about us. Remember, people, animals, and nature are our thing. So you got to have where their motivation, which is their interest, to meet up with whatever that knowledge, whatever you're trying to teach them rotely. Okay. And that the connection is absolutely key. Keeping that connection with them. Or you're gonna lose them. They're not gonna want to do all this work. You know, bunny hopping, saying what you hear if you don't have connection with them. And trust is so important, that they trust you, you know. And you know why they trust me? Because I keep things safe. They know I love them. I know I'm going to be I'm telling you this. I know I'm doing something developmentally appropriate, not beyond what I know that's being asked of them, that their brain will let them do. And trust comes with all of that. And it's saying to them, it's saying to them, I trust you. I need you also to trust your brain. So what your brain is telling you is most of the time correct. Just need you to just say what you hear. And if you're not saying, and if they don't say it confidently, I say, remember, say it confidently for your brain, not for me. Say it confidently for your brain, which is their mind, and I'm referencing here, because it's so important that they trust their mind. Their mind is very intelligent. It's nothing to do with intelligence. It's a learning difference in auditory, visual, and vestibular processing. And if you add on ADHD, sensory integration problems, autism, Erland syndrome, on top of those things, it makes it so much more difficult. That's why you got to always be an observation. Are they calm? Calm is key. Or I'll stop and if I notice they're getting red, their voice is starting to shake, they're starting to have hyperlexia. That's just their mind is in anger. It's starting to work ahead of what it's reading from some past experience of doing this before with possibly somebody else. That I stop and say, let's calm together. Let's try again. Now, if they're just having an off day completely, it's gotta be where you ask them, did you sleep well? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you stressed? Are you sick? I leave sick for last. I'm hoping I'm getting all the answers, so I don't want to get them in their mind that they might be sick, because I have dyslexia, and y'all know I like to call it neurodivergency and auditory and visual, and of course vestibular fine motor. But so I understand all of those things, but that's why calm is key, taking brain breaks and breathing, and not keep on pushing, because they're not going to be able to relay or retain it if we push. So, but anyway, that sounds like I went way in more into what my coaching that I do. So, we have 3 minutes before I have a class. My class, on this class, we went from word imaging and trusting our ability to be able to image words, especially sight, because you can't phonetically sound those out, to now it's really fun, because I'm going back to phonological awareness this class. Like I said, I'll add phonological awareness in as need be, but that's not the foundation of it for 7 and above. It's getting those phonic sounds fixed up. But okay, since I have 3 minutes, let me add on something that I hadn't said. I'm getting them to trust what they hear, say what they hear, and they're doing so well, right? What? Good. Walk. But they say what. random. They've been really processing the whole word, saying it so well. Are you sick, hungry, tired, stressed? Something going on? Somebody walking. Oh, your brother walked in and took your attention away. Oh, I see. But if it's not that, if I've noticed several times that they didn't have the foundation of the skill that they've been working on since they were 4, phonological awareness, still I'll say, okay, I heard you say what. What letter would be here if it was what? And they'll say, t. Yeah, that's right. And I just make them aware of it. It's no biggie. And I might ask the parents, won't we put them in the phonological awareness class? But mostly that's not the problem, like people say. It's the fact that it's never been taught distinct enough for our very, very sharp, smart minds. That's what's the problem. And that's where bunny hopping fixes it up and saying it confidently, making those sounds distinct. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See you later. Bye, Catherine. See you.
Thank you, Tricia. Appreciate it.
You're in our group. so
Sorry,
you-
I was in and out so much. It's a little crazy today, but you know.
Oh, I expect that. And I expect for the, you're in our group, you can watch all recordings. I'm not going to kick you out of the group.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. It helps a lot
you're
to
so
kind of get an idea of what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And I liked your little and thing. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, 'cause we're Southern. We want to say pen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello. Where are you? Can't see you. What's going on? You got any plans this weekend? I saw your hold on. Am I still recording?